Welcome here into Teal The Show. We've got Frangie in the building. Frank, it is another rough Monday after what was a wild game up in Philadelphia.
It's one of the strangest seasons I've ever seen, Jamal. It really is. They're 2-7. 5 of their losses have been decided in the last minute and a half of a game. Now, I know that's the way the league is, and things happen at the end of the game, but I can't ever remember it happening this many times to the same team, that you're that close. 4 of the games are decided on the last play, and others decided in the last minute and a half. You got to make one more play than the other guy, and the Jags weren't able to do it.
All you can do right now is shake your head. Let's talk about this Philadelphia game a little bit. Jaguars dug themselves a 22-point hole to start things off. Slow starts have been the name of the game for this team for what feels like a long time, and they haven't figured out how to fix that problem.
Well, I will tell you this, and it's been offensively has been the problem. Think about this. It's the 3rd game in a row now that they've trailed 10-0. You shouldn't trail 10-0 3 games in a row. It's the 2nd game in a row that they had 1 first down in the first half. They just can't find a rhythm offensively. Now, when they find that rhythm, they get going. And they're a pretty good offensive team in the second half. That was 2 different teams, the Jags in the second half and the Jags in the first half. But when you get off to that slow start, Jamal, to your point, you're playing uphill the whole game. That means your margin of error is very small. That means if you make one mistake at the end of the game, which is what the Jags did, there's no time to make up for it because you were playing uphill the whole time. So you're right. Those slow starts, particularly offensively, have been a killer for this team.
And it just felt like the Eagles were making plays that you'd never seen before. You've seen a lot of football. Have you ever seen a guy hurdle someone backwards? Because I know I haven't.
That was one of the most incredible plays I've ever seen, Saquon Barkley making the hurdle backwards. But I'll say, despite that, despite Devontae Smith and the great one-handed catch and other catches they made, the Jags defense held its own. I thought the Jags defensive line got the best of the Eagles offensive line. I know Saquon Barkley ran for a lot of yards, but he made a lot of those on his own. I thought the Jags defense has not been good this year. They came into that game ranked 29th, but I thought the Jags defense played about as well as it's played in a long time. The defense gave the Jaguars a chance to win that football game.
They really did, and it all came down to one play, one mistake at the end, as you mentioned. Let's talk about that play, Frank, because there's a lot that goes into that. The Jaguars battled their way back. They have an opportunity. It feels like they're in striking distance. Right. First down, interception. Look, it wasn't the best throw. Definitely not what you want to see from your quarterback there, but a mistake that's a killer in that moment.
I think Trevor Lawrence has played so well in some of those late game situations. Doing it 2 weeks ago against the Packers with all of his players hurt. Doing it again now with Austin Trammell and other players who aren't accustomed to being in there. Luke Farrell made a big play. I think Trevor's been fantastic at the end of those games. But that's a play, whether it's a play call, whether it's the decision by Trevor, that's a tough decision or a tough chance to take on first down, a 50-50 ball. You've got 3 more downs. I don't mind trying to get the running back matched up on a linebacker because that often is beneficial to the offense, but you can't throw it unless you know it's there. That's a play you can't take unless you know it's wide open, particularly on first down. Coaches will tell you first down interceptions with a lot of time on the clock are what kill you. Trevor was very good at the end of that game. Trevor's been good of late. The touchdown run was a fantastic read, but that was a tough mistake.
For a team that has been searching for a spark for 2 weeks in a row, they've come so close to getting a win that maybe could flip the switch for them, and they just haven't quite been able to get there. All right, still ahead here on Teal The Show. We'll hear a little bit from the team as they try and put the pieces back together and move forward. That's straight ahead right after this quick break. All right, welcome back here into Teal The Show. Another tough loss for this Jaguars team, and there's a lot of things that we can say about this team. But even despite what a player in the locker room said a couple of weeks ago, I don't think quit is a word that we can throw around for this team. For the 2nd week in a row, they have fought to the very end, dug themselves out of a deep hole, and quit is definitely a word that Trevor Lawrence does not see when he looks around the locker room.
We've done a good job of, where we're at, we're 2-7, and there's no quit in us. We're fighting every week. We're giving ourselves a shot, and it's like we're not making just the last few plays. And there's obviously plays that lead up to it. It's not just one play. But the ones at the end, all these scores in this league, it all comes down to the end. And we're not finishing the games, and we're fighting to get back in it. Like tonight, that was unbelievable. Guys not quitting, put the defense in a bunch of bad spots and just fighting their tail off to give us a shot, and they did. And then we started getting it going on offense finally. But I'm just, I'm probably sound, obviously, disappointed I am. I'm not disappointed in our team and the way we fought, though, and the effort and everything out there. I'm really disappointed, honestly, in myself, the way I played. felt like I didn't give us enough of a chance to win. You know, didn't feel like I made enough plays. Just some stuff that I can't do, and I got to be better for us. So that's what's tough now. Is I felt like if I do some things better, we win the game. So that's a tough pill to swallow, but I got to take accountability for that.
I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep challenging players, and we have to get better. So I'm not going to settle on the fact that you know, it is what it is, obviously, but we're gonna roll up our sleeves and go to work and try to keep it, you know, try to keep it moving and try to fix it.
No, never. And that'll be on the leadership of this team, leadership in the locker room, to never allow that. And I don't feel the ounce of that in this locker room. Obviously, these Mondays suck, but that's on the leadership of our locker room to never allow that to happen and never allow that to come to fruition. We're blessed to play this game. We're paid a lot to play this game. We have a responsibility every day coming in here, and we have love for the game. So we're going to respect it, and we're going to continue to fight.
Look, Frank, it's easy at this time of year. When you're 2-7, it feels like they've dug themselves this hole. There's a lot going wrong where guys could start mailing it in, but that just doesn't feel like the case when you've watched this team the past couple of weeks.
Well, it's clear yesterday. I mean, they were down 22-0. It's easy to quit 22-0. If you quit when you're down 22-0, you lose 34-10. They got it to 22-16. They got the ball to the 12-yard line. They're in position to win the game. Lack of fight isn't the problem. Frustration's the problem. The inability to make one more play than the other guy is the problem. If you're quitting, you're not in all those games at the end of the game. They've been in almost every game at the end. They've played 9 games. 7 of those games have come down to the 6 of those games have come down to the very end of the game. So no, the quit's not the problem. But you still are what your record says you are. They're 2-7 because for whatever reason, they're unable to make that big play at the end of the game. And look, Jamal, the more times you don't make it, the less confidence you have that you're going to make it. And I think that's what happens. I was confident. I thought they were going to come back and win the game. When Philadelphia missed the field goal, when they converted the 4th down, then hit the play to Trammell down inside the red zone, I thought they were going to win the game. It took one more play and they didn't make it.
2-7 at this point in the season, Frank. Jaguars fans have seen a lot of high draft picks, so it's tough to get folks excited about maybe another one. Where's the sunshine? You got Minnesota coming to town, a team that's rolling, the return of Cam Robinson. There's some young players that are playing for this Jaguars team that maybe that experience helps them in the future, but I don't know that there's a whole lot of glass half full left in this season.
Well, you got every game's its own entity, right? Sure. You got to play the next game, and then you got to see where you are after the game. The problem is they keep losing these close games. Had they won yesterday at the end of the game, they would have won 3 of their last 5, and they would have still had a puncher's chance. Looks like Houston's leaking oil a little bit. Indianapolis and Tennessee are struggling franchises. So if you win that game, you're 3 out of your last 5. You've got a little bit of a roll. You've only got 1 more game in that tough gauntlet, and then all of a sudden it gets a little, or 2 more games, then it gets a little bit easier, but you didn't win the game. I think the Jaguar players, fans believe what they want, have to just take, let's win the next game and see where we stand. Obviously, people are tired of hearing this, and I get it, but they're obviously close. Again, they're barely losing these games. And there are some good young players, Jamal. Parker Washington is stepping up. Ventrell Miller might be the best player on the defensive team right now. Trayvon Walker is becoming a really good player. Josh Hines-Allen refound himself. There's good young players. Tyson Campbell's playing well. But you got to make it all work, and they haven't been able to do it.
You know, it's the state of the AFC South, like you said, that makes this losing streak and this record, I think, sting that much worse, because the AFC South is definitely something that could have been attainable, because you look at the Houston Texans, they're not playing great football. The Indianapolis Colts are trying to figure things out. They've turned on Anthony Richardson. The Jaguars could be in the driver's seat of this thing if they had just won a couple of those games.
Well, it could be one of those seasons. Think about this now. You still got both Tennessee games left, and Tennessee's really a struggling franchise. Right. You've already beaten Indianapolis, and you get them again with an older quarterback. You almost beat Houston, probably outplayed them and lost at the end of the game, and now you get them here. The toughest division game you're going to have is the game at Houston. You've already played it. So the end of the schedule softens up a little bit, but will they have dug too big of a hole when they get there that it won't matter? That's the shame of this. Is do you lose 1 or 2 games too many that when you finally get to that end season when you can make a run? Now, look, they were 3-7 2 years ago, and they finished 9-8 and won a division. So mathematically, you're still in the hunt, but this one would have mattered. So these last 2 games, they're tied with Green Bay at the end of the game, and Green Bay made 1 more play. They're down 6 on the 12-yard line against Philadelphia, and Philadelphia made one more play. Both of those games, if the Jags make one more play rather than the opponent, the whole season's different, and there's all kind of momentum. That's the frustration of this, that it's happened that many times to a team that's that close, and I believe they are.
Yeah, finding that one more play seems to be the Achilles heel of this team right now. We'll see if maybe they can find it this week against Minnesota, but that's certainly going to be a tough task. We'll talk more about that on Friday's episode of Teal the Show. Frank, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you at home for tuning in. Good night, everybody, and go Jags.